Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this Tuesday morning, July 9th. We got a great show lined up as always. But first, our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. Let's go ahead and talk about what's going to be happening. Well, I don't think anybody really knows what's going to be happening. Just keep your eyes to the skies. But I would not venture out into the Gulf the next couple of days. It's going to be pretty rough out there. This low pressure area, I know you've been watching the last day or two, and it could form into it. Looks like we're going to get a lot of rain coming up pretty soon. So just be aware of that. High today is going to get all the way up to 93, low 78, and the water temperature dropped down to 85.6. The river reading is brought to us by Mountain Dew. Take it outside with Mountain Dew. Not a lot of movement looking at the river. That place called Bluntstown is a 3.7. It's not moving hardly any. As far as going up and down, that's moving, but it's coming down river. Choctaw Carabel, it's sort of flat line at a 1.6. Both rivers are low. It's at what I call a good low because it's not dropping out real fast. It's going to be a steady low. Right there, there's going to be some really good fishing on the river. In fact, it'd be a good time instead of going out in the Gulf to head up to the rivers if you can dodge that rain. Tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. Sort of got neap tides today, not much happening. A high tide is at 6:37 this morning, and a low tide is at 8:56 tonight. And it'll be neap the next couple of days, but the weekend, look at the weekend now, we're getting back into some strong tides coming up Friday and Saturday, so that's good news. Marine forecast, north-northwest at about 7. So just, I tell you what, you want to go ahead and get the yard mowed pretty soon, today or tomorrow, because that rain's going to make it grow really fast next week. So if you're like me, you need to go ahead and mow it today. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. We're here with Captain Rick Corley. Good morning, Captain.
Good morning.
Well, you know, we talk about so much going on and all, but Rick, he knows so much about boats and all, but he's also a firearm expert. I'd like for him to come on and talk about all kinds of things, but today you brought a picture of some cool firearms. So
yeah.
Let's show this picture first and share some things with our viewing audience. So tell us about this right here.
Yeah, I picked that up here not long ago, and it's pretty and I like it. Of course, I love firearms. I'm a collector. But I thought that'd be a real good hog gun. It's a 357 Magnum Marlin. It's what they call a trapper model. And of course, I had Ben put me a full power fixed scope on there. And then I carry the Strom Ruger 357 police security 6 there that is a backup, because if you're, unless you're up in a tree stand, if you're down close on the ground, you want a short firearm such as that pistol as a backup, because hog, you don't want him to get to you, not at all. He'll cut you all to pieces. So.
Well, we're going to do something we've been talking about doing for a good while now. We're going up to shooting range this week, and we're going to do some shooting. Midsummer shooting is so important if you're hunting all, because what happens, a lot of people shoot their gun in hunting season and set it down, don't shoot it anymore. Yeah. And you talked about that.
Yeah, and of course, if you bump it a little bit, you can have the sights off a little bit or whatever. And the other thing is, if you don't use it, you lose it, the skill, and you need to. I try to practice once a month, especially with my pistols.
Okay.
Rifles, because of the long sight radius, are easier to stay up with, because it's much easier to shoot a rifle straight than it is a pistol.
Well, the last time I shot my rifle, I missed a deer, so I blamed it on my scope. So I might bring that with me tomorrow, or what day we go, and then we got to get it sighted in. But I can't use that excuse if we get it sighted in.
No,
I swear,
no.
I shot over it.
One time I was coming down the Warrior River, and there was nothing going on that time of morning. It was slick, calm, looked like a mirror. Mm-hmm. And I saw this wiggling in the water, and I knew what it was, a snake, but he was way out there. And I had my Mark III Ruger 22 pistol with me. And I told Mac, that was a deck mate, I said, hold it in the middle of the river, Mac. And he said, what? I said, look out there, there's a snake. He said, oh, you can't hit him. I said, well, I don't know. And I stepped down on the ridge wing. Well, my back was to him. He couldn't see my face. And I thought, well, I'll shoot one long and then shoot one short and then try to get close, and maybe in 4 or 5 rounds I can get close to the snake. Well, there was nobody out, no boaters or anything, no fishermen I could see with the binoculars, so it was safe. And I squeezed off what I thought would go beyond him, and the first shot hit that snake. And of course, when you shoot one in the water, they go nuts when they get hit.
They don't like it.
Yeah, and of course, I'm standing there with my mouth open because it's like I hit him, you know.
Yeah.
But he couldn't see it, and so I come back and I just slid the pistol back in the gun robe, and I said, "I got you." And of course, he immediately went to the galley back on the stern of the boat. And I turned the PA on. Everybody, I could hear him back then. Everybody, he said, "Man, don't ever argue with the captain." He said, "He is the best pistoleer I've ever seen. He just shot a snake in the water on the first shot, about 600 feet away, and it was total luck."
That was a good. That was a good shot.
Yeah.
What weapons you bringing tomorrow, or whatever they will go shoot?
I'm gonna probably bring the Mark III, and I've got a new little Henry 22 that I want to try out, and then I'll probably bring this one that I've got here, these two, and then maybe a 41 Magnum Henry that I've got, Yellow Boy, and might bring my Ruger Scout rifle just to make sure it's still sighted in.
You're gonna bring an arsenal.
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
One of the things about, talking about, and we're going to shoot some video on this, and we'll show it to you later, but one thing about the safety, and we all know about safety, and we're all very, very safe with it, but especially on the shooting range, so many times people get out in the country and just start shooting at cans and all, and not quite as safe.
And you want to know what you need a backdrop, as they say.
Some kind of
some kind of embankment to stop that round where you know it's not going to travel beyond where it's safe. The other thing is shooting range. You remember, even when you're not shooting, that pistol, if you lay it down, I've had people turn. Keep your situational awareness. Just because they're at the shooting range doesn't mean they know what they're doing, and sometimes you get people do dumb stuff. And be aware who's shooting by you. And if you have a few minutes, kind of talk to them and find out what they know, really, because.
And you want ear protection too.
Yes, ear protection, eye protection, and of course there you're under a roof. But I put on plenty of sunblock and all that because it's extremely hot, and I watch the temperature. But we'll probably shoot an hour, and
that sounds like fun. Looking forward to that. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Today we're Captain Rick Corley talking about all kinds of things. We've been talking about guns. Now we're got some boating accidents we're going to talk about. But before we get to that, we've got some good pictures y'all have sent to me. Susie Gibson down at Howard Creek. She said, "Winston Chester, this is hot." How hot is it in Florida? Rick, the car's melting. That's how hot it felt like. Thank you, Susie, at Howard Creek. How about Alan Chasen up there in Jackson County? What a nice East Bay redfish.
That is.
Good job, Alan. That's a perfect picture right there.
I bet somebody would eat that old dead fish.
I bet he took it home and ate it. Those boys up in Jackson County, there's some good fishermen up there.
Yeah.
How about my old buddy Junior Hagler and his son Justin? They went frogging, and they only got 69 frogs. 69 right there.
Wow.
Junior and Justin. I know they had a good time. Frogging I've gotten all kind of, frogging this past month has been really strong. A lot of frogs. Now we've talked about the kids tournament coming up here locally in Panama City, but now down there in Carabel at Sea Quarters, actually the same date, so you pick whichever one you're closest to, go to it by all means. It's going to be the 15th annual one from 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. There's going to be a lot of folks coming. Listen, the first 125 people get a free rod and reel. You can't beat that. Now look at all the categories: speckled trout, catfish, black sea bass, croaker pigfish, flounder, pinfish, Spanish mackerel, and ladyfish. So you get a shirt, a visor, and rod and reel. And they fish the river and the bay. That's pretty strong right there. They do a good job with that at Sea Quarters Marina. Proud to be a sponsor of Panhandle Outdoors. I ran into my buddy C.L. Smith and his son Calvin. It was good seeing you today, Coach. It was great seeing he and his wife Jessica Smith and his son Calvin. That is a fine fish right there.
Is that a marlin?
That's a marlin, yes,
Yeah,
sir. Caught it. He had a nice fishing trip.
Marlin.
For a young man, that's a fine one. Now I don't show a lot of party boat pictures because we've got so many, charter boats, but sometimes there are special pictures. This is special. This is on the family tradition there in St. Andrew, and the first mate, Kyle Register. This little lady on the right-hand side of the fish board is one of my favorite parts of snapper season every year. I take Miss Kelly fishing. She is 88 years old. Can you imagine going fishing on a charter boat at 88 years old?
Sure.
I was telling Kyle, I'm going to go interview her. That's amazing right there. 88 years old. Look at the kids looking at her.
Yeah.
That's amazing going out
That's
there.
why she's 88 years old.
She loves
still
it.
Good and having fun.
And that's a fine catch down there,
Yep.
Captain Rathfield, Laverne Rathfield.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of people I know catching good fish, we talked about the May Cottage out there at Emerald Crest, the original homesteaded area there. 1925, the May family homesteaded, and they've been through 3 generations, but now the 3rd generation is getting ready to sell the place. But this is their last summer, and they were able. This is right here on Emerald Crest, right next to Camp Helen.
Nice talking.
And they were able. There were some other folks that hooked it, and they all joined in to help out. But I'm just going to show you a series of pictures of a tarpon. Have beautiful. You're talking about some great family pictures. They got it up the shore. And here they are getting the hook out, and they released it.
That's probably 80 to 100 pound.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
A good 80 pounder. There's a good family shot there. And I've got a little video, but I may show that tomorrow, of it actually swimming away and all. It was, but
if you're not going to eat him, and of course tarpon are not here to eat, but they're sure fun to catch.
Well, yeah, and everybody releases tarpon. In fact, you got to have a tarpon tag to keep them. But I was just really pleased that to see that. Okay, now we're going to get into. I won't talk a lot about this, but I want to cover it tomorrow. The state record catfish. Okay, I'm going to show that. I'm going to give details. All right, here it is right here. The state record flathead, caught in the Yellow River. Okay, here it is. Fallen Uncle's Lead, Angler's record flathead catfish. I'm going to give details on this tomorrow. A lot of people were caught last week and all. And it's a really fascinating story behind it. But his uncle had a state record for like 5 or 6 years, and then he broke his uncle's record.
Oh, I tell you what, and some of these rivers, like up the Tennessee River there, where they're real deep right next to the dams.
Yes.
I used to fly Charlie Kilgore and some of them up to inspect the dams. Mm-hmm. And I never will forget, he come up one time, he says, he told Paul Wells with him, he says, go get my bang stick. I said, bang stick? What do you need a bang stick up here for? Ain't no sharks. Mm-hmm. He said, there's a catfish down there that must weigh 200 pounds. And he says, I might be on the menu.
Well, I can't get rid of people noodling for fish. I still don't think I want to do that, but they stick their hand in there. No. Okay, we want to cover this over the weekend, over July 4th weekend. Didn't get to talk about it yesterday, but the big deal, we always talking about boating safety, and we talked about it last week, and we were good around the Panhandle as far as not having any accidents and all, but our neighbors up in Alabama just had a tough July 4th weekend, as far as, in particular up at Smith Lake. And Smith Lake is special. So many people, I have two cousins that live up there on Smith Lake, and it's a beautiful, beautiful lake, beautiful homes around it. You've been to it?
Yep. In fact, I've been up there for boating accidents as an expert to determine what happened and how it happened. It's Smith Lake to Birmingham is what Lake Sidley and Lanier is to Atlanta. They're just a big recreational area.
Yeah.
Well, beautiful lake, absolutely gorgeous, and it's deep.
4 people killed on the 4th of July weekend from boating crashes, drownings. It goes on. I showed a picture of Kelsey Nicole Starling of Troy, Alabama, right up the road here, and it was two boats ran into each other, and details I've read about it. It's going to be a boating under influence situation. But some college girls that we just graduated several years. She was 26 years old. Pretty girl, looked like a real sweet girl, good family, and she was on a boat with somebody that was driving while they're drinking, and that's bad. And then it went on and talked about a guy, Clay Jackson, 26, and Travis House of 17, were killed north of Montgomery on Lake Jordan around 10 p.m. July 4th, that night at 10 p.m. 5 people transported to the hospital. They were hitting, so probably alcohol was probably involved in that. 10 o'clock, they're not out there fishing and doing any kind of good stuff as far as that. Then a 12-year-old girl was in a boating accident. Again, this at Smith Lake the second day on Friday. So you had the girls killed on Thursday during the day, the guys Thursday night, July 4th, and this girl, 12-year-old girl, there were 2 other children, 14 and another 12-year-old, and they were injured. So there were 9 people on the boat. There was a pontoon boat somebody ran into, and you've seen these pontoon boats. They're hard to turn.
Yep.
Then later on Saturday, they had a 5-year-old girl drown in a public swimming pool. So it was a tough weekend as far as boating and drowning in Alabama. And we're always talking about being careful.
Yep.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back to talk about some of Rick's accidents that he's helped investigate. So let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's look at our fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers down in Port St. Joe. And folks, I was down there during the 4th holidays and all, and it was packed out. I'm telling you, it's amazing that people coming in. I don't know where they're staying because they can't stay at Mexico Beach, but man, they were all over the place. The Cape was full of folks, and everybody was well behaved. It was a good July 4th holiday week and all, and we just had a grand time. Let's look at our fishing game times. We're looking at 6:47 to 8:47 this morning, and then this evening from 7:12 till 9:12. Those 2 hours right there. So we got a situation here. Let me see. I was going to show y'all if I can show you my 4th of July. Here's our 4th of July picture right here. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you. This is our group. This is our 46th, I think. We used to camp out in tents and cook scallops. Now we stay at the beach house and do a shrimp boil. And that's a lot of my family. And the couple on the far left, Suzanne and Rocky Doddridge, dear high school. Suzanne, we went to school from 1st grade through University of Florida together, and she married my teammate Rocky Doddridge, and they're he's a retired pastor, and they're living at the Cape now. It's wonderful to see them. Gail, that's my daughter Wendy in the middle. Anyway, that's family. I know y'all get tired of seeing my family. My son Chip and Jill on the far right, and anyway, got some good mug shots. We may take them with target practice and all, but we always talked about these people. Every one of these people love to shoot in this picture, so we may take them target practice. And all right, so
they got plenty of room out there.
Let's get back to boating accidents and all. And I know you've investigated some tragedies and all.
Yes.
Usually, what's usually the problem you see with them?
Most of the time, and I hate to say it, but it's people that are arrogant enough to think, well, I can drive a car, therefore I can drive a boat. And I can drive and drink, and it's not as bad as driving and drinking in a car. Yes, it is. And it's just as dumb.
Well, you don't have any brakes.
No. Well, not only that, but most people don't know that much about the rules of the road and what's expected. They're used to passing Deepwater Point there in Grand Lagoon. A lot of times you going out, the guy's coming in, he's coming around, he's got to actually cross your bow if he wants to do what they call a one whistle, port side to port side.
Okay.
Which really and truly, if you're coming around there, the best thing you do is do what they call two whistle pass, starboard to starboard. Turn and you go on the wrong side of each other, because then he doesn't have to cross in front of you. And they're used to driving a car, so they want to always go over there on the right side.
Well, that's a good point right there. Most people don't think about that.
Yeah, and you run into the same thing in places like Smith Lake and up in Lake Sidney Lanier, even up here at Lake Seminole. You get people that they want to do that, and in a boat you don't have to do that. You can pass on the other side, and that way you never cross his bow. You never have a imminent collision if something goes wrong. I see people doing that too, and they think, well, I'm in a fast boat, I can beat him across. You ever had an engine quit on you at the wrong time? Now you sit in Target and you can't do nothing about it. And if the guy's not paying attention, you just got ran over. There's, you got to remember you're operating heavy equipment. And some of these boats weigh as much as almost a house, way more than a car. And they don't stop real quick.
Yeah. Well, that's what scares me of the rental boats. So many people around here are used to, grew up around boats and know how to run them and everything. Yeah. But you get some of these rental boats that people rent and just take off in a pontoon boat. I know St. Joe Bay has gotten bad about the last couple of years. I don't know about what's going to happen
Same thing
this year.
Grand Lagoon. Yeah, they rent them, and of course people come down here, they want to rent them. And I used to, when I was growing up on Grand Lagoon, I made a lot of money pulling people off the middle ground because they used to be in the lake, deep waters in the middle. We go down the middle, we'd be all right. Not in Grand Lagoon, you won't. You'll run aground.
I make a conscientious effort to avoid, like a plague, those rental boats. Just get around them and let them have plenty of room, because they're not trying to do anything intentionally. They're just doing out of.
Well, it's like people on jet skis. They'll stay in the channel. Yeah. And a jet ski, as long as you got 2 feet of water, you can run anywhere you want to run, no problem. Why stay in the channel? Get outside the channel, then you don't have to worry about bigger boats. Just run just outside the channel.
That's right. So be safe out there. And we got the rest of the summer coming up, and got a big show lineup for tomorrow. We're going to start wrapping things up. We're going to end the show. One of the things I've never showed you, I was telling Gil, I've never showed a sunset picture that I took. And I've showed a lot of sunset pictures. I took this actual sunset picture at Cape San Blas when my granddaughter Ashley had her camera, and it was just one of those special moments. And there's an active shot of the. So we're going to wrap things up today, and we want to thank you all for watching Panhandle Outdoors. We appreciate the viewership. Do something good today for your fellow man. Have a great day, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.